Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering daily operations for admin users. This webinar will cover adding a user into your system and user permissions. We'll look at dispatch groups, managing your customers, lists and reports, managing your receivables, recurring payments, transactions, and subscriptions. We'll take a quick view of financing, how to order your card readers if you want to swipe and take payments in the field, and managing time clock. We'll have a live Q&A at the end where you can get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's dive into WEX FSM. All right. So, as an admin user, you are probably one of the members of your team who is kind of helping spearhead getting this system set up if you're new, or if you've been using for a while, maybe you are just spot checking to make sure that everything is running smoothly and that your settings in your system are set up correctly. But if you have not done so, one of the most important things you'll need to do so everyone on your team can log in and use the system is to add your users. To do this, you will go to Settings in the top right, User Management, Users. That will bring you to the users page. You may only have one user so far. That would have been the person who signed up, but that is why we're here to add the rest of our team. We will click Add User here in the top right. And then you'll just fill out the information, determine the permissions that you want, and hit Save. That will save them in your user list. And as long as you have added them to a dispatch group, you will see them on the schedule page. Now, I have Dustin Bailey here as an example, and we're going to use him to kind of dive a little deeper so you can see someone who's already set up. Now, this is my field technician, Dustin. He would be the one going out doing jobs out in the field. You can select a profile picture, and that will show up if you add that to your appointment notifications. And basically, if I'm a customer, I see when I get the on my way message that Dustin is on the way, and it'll show me his picture. So I can just kind of know who will be showing up. The email and password is what you need to create and then give to this user so they can log in to WEX FSM. The tech skill level, this is only, well, let me say this. Some of my customers use this a lot and others don't use it at all. It's personal preference how you use this, but this is just saying what is the skill level of this technician? And then when you are scheduling, you can see the skill level of your technician and know maybe I want to send a rookie to a lower level job that requires less, and then an expert to someone who's doing maybe a really big install or big money making project. Your labor cost per hour, this is going to be how much you pay this user for 1 hour of their time. And this is really only important for those who are going to track time on jobs. So entering in a cost here will help factor into the labor cost on jobs, giving you correct profit and loss reporting. Now, I had mentioned dispatch groups earlier. So here, this is very important if you want to see this user on the dispatch board on the schedule page. The rule is if you want to see someone on the schedule page, they must be added to a dispatch group. If this is empty, they will not show up on your schedule page. So you'll add them, you'll go to schedule them, and you'll be like, wait, where are they? So you do need to add them to a dispatch group. And to set up your dispatch groups, you will go to Settings, User Management, Dispatch Groups. And we will go there and set up some dispatch groups in just a minute. But essentially, you will set up your groups, and then while you're adding your user, you can assign them to those groups. And when you are on the schedule page, I can see the dispatch groups drop down as here, and these are all the groups I have created. And this is just a great way to organize your team. For smaller teams, maybe you only create one group that everyone is in. And maybe if your team is mid to larger size, or you just have different sides of the business, however you want to separate your teams. Maybe I just want to look at my field technicians. I can create different groups. Then you assign your technician, or sorry, your user to any of those groups that you want to see them in. Permissions. So this is the permissions that this user will have. There are 3 account types. Admin is going to allow full access to everything. I'll be able to log into both the desktop and the mobile version of WexFSM. I can view all settings and update. I can view all more applications, update everything. An office user has everything that the admin has, but then you can come in and kind of update the permissions to hide certain things. So maybe I have a admin who I do want to see all of my income and revenue and reporting, but maybe I have an office person who I don't want them to see all that. So I could come in and hide the reporting tab completely. I can also go in and change. If you show the reporting tab, you can then update the visibility of individual reports. So you can restrict certain reports from here. Maybe I don't want them to see the receivables report. Next, we have field, and a field user does not have access to the desktop version of WexFSM. So if I'm a field user, I'm just using the mobile app. I can't even log in to the desktop version. And that's because we're keeping things nice and streamlined, straightforward for the technicians. If you have someone who is working in the field, that's like what they do. They work out in the field, but they're more of a manager or an admin as well. I would set them as an admin. They can still use the mobile app out in the field, but then they could also log into the desktop version if they need to. Appointment of visibility is your or this user's visibility for appointments. If I want them to be able to see all appointments, I will select all appointments, and I will have no restrictions on looking at any appointments, including other team members. So if you have all appointments selected, I'll be able to go and look at another technician and see what they're doing today. If you have a team that works together closely, maybe that's a good thing. You want them to be able to collaborate. Maybe you do not want that and you just want them to focus on appointments for me. That would be what this user is assigned. And maybe you don't want them to have full access to look at every job they've ever done for all of time. You can come in and set time limits as well. So maybe my appointments plus or minus 7 days. I can see all of the appointments and customer information for plus or minus 7 days, but I can't go further than that. Now, customer visibility. This is also important. If you want this user to see your entire customer list at all times, including on the weekends, this is set to yes. So this user has full, can just look at every customer, phone numbers, job history, everything. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe for this user, you want to set this to no. And that means that the entire customer list is hidden. However, they will still have access to jobs that are assigned to them so they can do their jobs that they need to do. So that's just some permissions for customer visibility. Next, these 4 are just kind of like, do you want them to do these actions or not? Do you want them to manually enter cards, like take payment in the field, perform credits and voids, manage recurring payments, perform financing actions, and those are up to you. You can click yes or no on those. This one, copies for job forms and receipts for payments. What this is saying is, who does this user want to receive job forms and receipts for payments from? So if this was, let's say, an admin user, anytime someone creates a proposal or invoice, or a proposal is signed, or someone makes a payment on an invoice, those are big things that I want to know about. So then I would select all users. That means anytime any user in my system creates a proposal or invoice, or takes a payment on a invoice and gets a receipt, I will receive that from all users. Maybe I only need to see that from my field users because those are the ones who are creating the invoices. But that's up to you. For my technician here, he don't need to see none of that. So I'm just going to keep that at none. So he will not receive copies of job forms or receipts for any payments made. Edit prices and taxes on invoices. Do you want this user to be able to edit prices and taxes, uh, create custom line items, create purchase orders, job P&L? Each job you have has that little P&L section, which will show you the revenue on the job. If you do not want this user to see that, select no, and it will hide that P&L section on the job. Do you want them to be able to two-way text message and message notification sound? This just means that if someone's using the two-way texting feature, it makes that little chime. You can turn that off here if that gets annoying for you. You can deactivate a user after you've saved them. If you deactivate someone, it will show as deactivated for all historical record. You'll see their name and then deactivated next to their name. But they will no longer be in your system. They will no longer be able to log in. They will no longer count as one of your seats in your subscription. They will be officially deactivated. Once you make your adjustments, you're ready to go. You will click Save. All right, next, let's go to dispatch groups. So we've already kind of talked a little on dispatch groups, but to set up and manage dispatch groups, you will go to Settings, User Management, Dispatch Groups. This is where you will set up and manage your dispatch groups. Click Add Dispatch Group to add a group, and then put in the name of the group, whatever you want the name to be, enter that in, and then select the users you want in that group. Scroll down and hit Save. You will see that reflected on the schedule page. So when you're on the schedule page, everything you set up on that dispatch group page, you'll see here. Just a pro tip, you do not have to do this. This is something that I do personally. If you want to put these in a particular order, you can put numbers in the name. It will be by alphabetical order. Oh, there we go. So that's fine. That's how that works. If you want it to be in a particular order, like I have here, I'm just putting numbers in front of the names so they order the way I want. You can edit a dispatch group by clicking the three dots here and edit or delete. Okay, so that is dispatch groups. Next, let's talk about managing customers. When you add a customer in your system, which you would do from the red plus button here, they will be saved in your customer list. And to search for a customer, you just type in the search in the top right here. And we are going to look for my customer, Justin Hernandez. If they're in your system, they'll show up here, and you just click on their name to go to their profile. And this is their customer page. You will be able to see their primary contact, billing and location, billing addresses and locations. These are like sublocations. You have different preferences that you can set for each customer. On the right, we've got your timeline of all of your jobs you'll see here. And if you want to quickly create a job, you can do that right here from Create New Job Form. Any data that you have loaded that has come in with your customer information, you will be able to see those here. So I do recommend you go in and just look, search into some customers and see what type of history you see there. And you will see their timeline of jobs, a payment section where you can take payments. Equipment is going to be a place to document all of your equipment, attach it to your invoices, or addresses, and then whenever you schedule something, you create a new job for each of these addresses. It will show you the appropriate equipment history. Set up and manage your maintenance plans from here and see your contacts. Now, any contact, anyone that you want to be able to send messages to, I would put their information here because this will be the drop-down selectable list of contacts on any action where you would send messages from in the system. All right. Now, if you want to add a new customer, I do have a pro tip for you. Click the red plus button up top here. And when you're adding them, there is a space to add an email, and it is required. When you're adding your customer, if you don't have an email, you can simply opt out of marketing emails and opt out of email notifications, and that will make it so you can add a customer without an email. All right. So we have looked at how to add a customer and where to view all customer information from the customer page. But how can we manage some of these items in our system in bulk? And we do this through lists and reports. Lists, if you go over to the main navigation in the top left, it says jobs. And these are all lists. And for an admin user, I would recommend definitely checking out the job list, the invoice list, and then we'll look at some reporting. But let's start with lists. So we'll start with looking at the job list together. So that's jobs, job list. And the job list, this is just literally a big list of all your jobs in your system. This is a great place to just come and quickly search for a job if you want. You can select a date range, a job type, job status, or you can just search up here by job number, customer name, or location, and those will help pull up jobs. But one of the main reasons why I love this job list is the ability to track and manage the flags in your system. When you add a flag or flag for follow-up onto a job, it will flag the job and add it to this show flag jobs only list. Flags are just a great way to keep track of follow-ups. And if you are an admin, you may be coming to this page often just to see what are the follow-ups we need and do I need to follow up to make sure that these are getting taken care of. From here, you can click on a flag to edit it, make any notes that you need, remove the flag, or mark it as complete. And you can also assign flags. So maybe you have someone who does all of your part ordering. You can make life easy for them by making sure all flags that have part order as the follow-up type, that you are assigning this, assignee right here, to that person and clicking save. That way, if I show up to work, I can come in, look at my flags, see all that have been assigned to me, and view that very easily. So the assign feature here is nice if you're really going to utilize flags as like a to-do or follow-up process for your team. All right. So that's the job list. Next, let's look at the invoice list. So we'll go back to jobs, invoice list. And the invoice list, this is again a big list of all your invoices in your entire system. You really, for this one, I would say you're coming here to check the auto sync statuses if you're syncing to QuickBooks. Otherwise, this is just a quick search for invoices. It does allow you to quickly view the PDF version of each invoice. You can also see the invoice status and payment status, the amount. If you want to quickly go out to the job, you just click on the job number here. But for my QuickBooks syncers, definitely check this often, at least once a week, because when you create an invoice, it's going to save to your system in WEX FSM, and then it's going to sync down to your QuickBooks. If it has synced properly, it will say synced right here. But let's say there's a piece of information missing and it's not sure exactly where to sync. This is where you can check for not ready status. So we're just going to click not ready. And not ready just means that there's something missing. There's some piece of information that it needs for it to officially sync over. And it will tell you what it wants. So let's see some examples here. For this one, for Timothy, it says not ready. We're going to click details. And it is going to tell you what it wants. So this is saying an income account for each line item must be selected. The income account would be the same income account from your chart of accounts in your QuickBooks. And we just need to come in here and tell this where we want it to sync. So income job, these look like parts. So those are income job. These look like labor. Maybe I want these to go to my labor account. Once you have these selected, hit save. And there you go. It's now in a ready status and it will sync over the next time it's ready. If you see anything like this, $0, it will always say not ready. If I create an invoice, let's say, and I haven't added any items yet and I get a phone call, I save that invoice without any items on it, it cannot sync. A invoice does require line items to be on there. Even if those line items are $0, that's okay. It just needs a line item for it to sync. So if you do see a couple not readies, but they're all $0, that just means you have an invoice that doesn't have a item on it yet. Once you add the item, it'll just sync over automatically. So invoice list, great place to search for invoices and to see your auto sync statuses for invoicing. All right. Those are the lists. So lists are kind of like single information. We're focusing on invoices. We're focusing on proposals. Now we're going to take a look at reporting where you can dive a little deeper into the details of the data. To get there, we will go to reporting in the middle of the navigation. That brings you to the reporting page. And we're going to look at a couple reports, starting with the receivables report. So from here, reporting, we will go, it's in the accounting section under receivables. This brings us to the receivables report. You can search by date range. Let's pop this back to January since February. It's literally the first Monday. So there we go. And you can search by job type, payment status, invoice status, technician, and a couple other search options here. Bill to customer, invoice number, name, billing address, and location. So a couple ways to use this page. The receivables report is showing me all of my invoices in my system. I care about who owes me money and who is overdue. So one way you can use this is to send payment reminders. So we can go to payment status and search overdue. It will show me all of the overdue, meaning it's past the due date balances, and it's within the date range that you set. I want to send a reminder to all of these people who is past due. So we will click select all, send invoices, and this is where you can send. You'll hit send from here. That will send a reminder out to everyone in this list. And it's really nice when you send out a lot of payment reminders in bulk and a lot of people pay their bill at one time. Next, let's take a look. Oh, actually, I think, yes. Next, we're going to look at where you can track your recurring payments. To do this, you will go to payment options, activity. Oh, wait, sorry. Payment options, payments, recurring payment. Again, let's payment options, payments, recurring payment. From here, if you set up any recurring payment plans, which would be people signing up for maintenance plan contracts, and you are setting them up on an auto renewal, this is where you will see overdue payments. If any payment has failed for any reason, you are able to select it and try to rerun it again. And, if it doesn't go through, maybe their card expired or something has happened, you can reach out to the customer and update their payment info from the customer page. And down below, we have existing plans and upcoming payments. So this is just the business as usual. These are your auto recurring payments. They're going through, and you can see the date of those processing transactions. Next, we want to go to transactions. So let's go to payment option, or sorry, here we go. Payment options, activity, transactions. And this is now a place to check your processing transactions. Just thinking about it. Let's see. This usually comes right up. Let's see if I can get there another way. There we go. So the transactions page, now this is a test account, so we don't actually process real payments in here. So this list is empty, but when you are taking real payments, those processing transactions will show up here. And maybe this is a place where you want to come to just kind of settle up, look at your books, cross-reference this with what you have in QuickBooks. But it will show you the date, the status, the amount, who the payment is from, payment method, type, and invoice number so you can track it back to the job. All right. Now we are going to shift and take a look at subscriptions. To do this, let's go to Settings, Subscriptions. So the subscriptions page, as an admin user, there's a couple things you should take a look at. Number one, when you come here, it will show you the plan that you're currently on with WEX FSM. Payment options, this is where you will sign up for financing. Now, we're not going to do an entire financing overview. It's not a financing webinar today. But if you are interested in financing, I do recommend either joining us for a financing webinar or watch the replay, which you can do right now. To do that, you'll go to the Help Center in the bottom right, and then video courses and webinars. And you can see if we have an upcoming financing webinar from the calendar here to join live. Otherwise, I would either watch the video course from here, which is multi-lender financing right here, or we also have offering financing in WEX FSM as a live stream replay you can watch right there. With that being said, sorry. With that being said, just a little overview of financing in your system. This is where you would sign up as the contractor. You would click the red plus button next to the lender that you want. We have multiple lenders that we partner with, and that will be slightly different per lender. So each lender does have their own minimum requirements as a business, and you will fill out that info, do what it wants, and hit apply or save. That will send your application to the lender. If you are approved, they will then load loans into your system, and those will be the list of loans that you will select the few that you're going to then offer your customers. You can offer financing on proposals. You can also just send a application directly to the customer with no proposal. But once you create the application, your customer submits that. It's between now your customer and the lender. It's instant approval, so you'll know if your technician is working in the field, you and your customer will know right away whether or not they are approved. And once that's approved, then you will be able to do the work. You'll be able to accept payment when the work is over. That payment will be paid to you in a lump sum minus a dealer fee. So they will take a cut, and each of those are different. So kind of getting into the details of each lender, that's when you'll learn about the dealer fees for each one. Also, from this page, you can sign up for check processing if you want to save yourself a trip to the bank. That is an option here. You can process checks right through WEX FSM. And if you want to take payments in the field, you can just manually enter payments. That's great. But if you want to use the card swiper, you would swipe the card. It would take the payment instantly. This is where you will order the card readers. And additional products. Now, these are add-on subscriptions. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. It's just if you're interested, these are available. We have Zoom phone that you can integrate a phone number, let's say your business phone number, into your system, and it will give you real-time notifications, caller ID. You can see who's calling, recordable playback like voicemail, and outbound caller ID masking. If you're interested in that, you just can hit learn more here and sign up. Flat rate is going, or Profit Rhino flat rate price book is if you want to add a pre-made flat rate price book into your system. That would be maybe you want to save time from having to manually enter all your pricing items. Azuga is vehicle tracking, so you can get dash cams, and it really does. They have a computer chip that hooks up into your vehicle and gives you every data read you would want to know on your vehicle, including reminders on when to do service, and will even tell you if your drivers are speeding. It has a lot of tracking for driver safety. All right. And then that is subscriptions. Next is going to be managing time clock. That will be our last thing that we talk about today before we get into our Q&A. So get your questions ready. Now, time clock. In your system, there are two time clocks. There is a daily time clock, which is like you're tracking your entire day. I'm going to show up to work, clock in, clock out uh, for lunch, and then clock out for the day. Then we have a job time clock, and that's going to be usually your technicians on the job who are clocking in and out of the appointment itself for tracking time on the job. For the daily time clock, when you are in your system, and I'll just go to the schedule page, but you can see it from many different pages. Right here in the top right, you'll see some numbers. For you, if you haven't clicked on it, I clicked on it, I guess, earlier today. It's still going. But click on this, and it will take you to the daily time clock. This is where you access it from desktop. There is a daily time clock on mobile as well. And you just use this to clock in and out. It'll track those timestamps as you're clicking, and then you will be able to see those in a report. So to check the daily time clock report, you will go to More Applications, Time Clock. And it will show you the time clock entries for the date range that you set. Maybe you want to pull these to then enter in your payroll software where it's actually paying out to your employees. But this is where you can see those timestamps. Select the date range. You can manually enter if you want. You can also update, edit, or remove completely from here. But this is a great way. As they enter in entries, you will be able to see each block of time with a total per block and then a total at the bottom. For the job time clock, that would be a scenario, and I'm just jumping over to a job. I'm on a job page. And let's say I'm a technician. I get out to the job. I'll hit, uh, you know, I'm either on my way or at the job. And then when I'm done, I'll hit complete. Those will add timestamps right here in the appointments section. So here's a little scenario. I can see that today I was supposed to be there 12 to 1. Looks like I started driving there at 11:27. And then if I click into this, it will show you the details. So I can see I was en route from 11:27 to 12:01, and then at the job from 12:01 to 1:09. So that's great. But what happened to Dustin here? So if you need to edit time on a job, you can simply go to that job, click on the time itself, and then you can update it from here. And there you go. And so that is the job time clock. All right. That is all the information we have for today's session. I hope you learned something. We're going to jump to our Q&A now, but I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Daily Operations for Admin Users.